welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me, as always, is Trevor Scott.
Hello.
Welcome. Trevor, I think we're going to jump into it pretty quickly and get back on with some random movies.
More movies.
Yeah.
That was so much fun last week.
Yeah, that's right. A whole week ago. So this is a game where we have a random movie generator in front of us. We're going to each get a new movie on the count of 3, 2, 1 movie. Mm-hmm. And we might use the title. We might use the whole idea of the movie. We might actually make a tie-in movie to that game, or a movie, I should say. Yeah, that's what I meant. And we'll see how we go.
Sounds good. Okay, 3, 2, 1 movie.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat.
Jurassic Hunt.
Jurassic Hunt. Mortal Kombat.
Clearly a Jurassic Park knockoff. 2021.
Yeah, 100%. That's cool. I like that. I like a Jurassic Park Mortal Kombat mashup. Okay, so the Mortal Kombat is actually between dinosaurs. So this is a dinosaur-based,
So it's primal carnage?
Survival of the fittest, basically.
Okay. It's very much more genetically bound. Evolution. Does it take place over millennia?
I do like the idea of being able to sort of... You can create your own fighter, and you use you choose two parents, and that creates your first fighter, and then you can take certain things that you like of that particular fighter, match them up with another fighter, and create.
Yeah, but you don't know that you're going to get the bits that you want from that fighter. No. You might get some recessive genes coming in. You might get just the wrong genes being active. In your new fighter. Okay, so genetically adding it, and then it's all dinosaur-esque thing. So it's teeth, claws, big armored tails, and shells and wings, and
big appetites. Yeah, big mouths.
Yeah,
little hands.
Each fight is to the death and to the consumption.
Little hands. Yeah.
Well, I think. You could breed the little hands out of it, though, right? If you do it right.
Big beefy arms on a T-Rex. That'd be fucking great. You can literally grab things and bite the head off it.
I like this a lot. I think with an updated version of Spores technology, because that was really good for bipedal and quadrupedal creatures, and up to more, but it particularly worked well with that. But with much less of the direct editing and more of just the idea that procedurally we create these things through the genetic things. And so you'll get a mostly similar body shape, but, some slight mutations will shift the curvature of the spine a bit. And it could be that over time, a quadrupedal creature becomes bipedal or different things over many generations.
Yeah.
And then that can lead to other aspects. Maybe they have stronger legs then because they need to keep their body weight up and that sort of thing.
To be able to keep their pelvis in place so that, they don't fall over. The whole idea is,
I love the idea that you can breed just completely useless creatures though that do just topple over when they try to fight.
So I don't know whether it works 100% like a normal sort of fighter. Maybe it's more of a brawler.
Yeah. Do you think it's on a 2D plane, or do you think we add in almost like a Power
Streets
Stone?
of Rage or...
I see what you mean. So it's not a one-on-one.
Yeah, I think player versus enemy could be kind of fun.
Okay.
And basically, you're trying to build the best animal that's going to make it through.
Yeah, that could be cool. So then would you do multiplayer, but you're on the same side, like a brawler like that?
Yeah, and then
you're each genetically engineering. And if you want, you can breed with each other and
well,
to get your
I
next
like the idea that if, you die, you can go, okay, my character, I'm going to choose this, I like what my partner actually has. Maybe I'll take some DNA from them, and you can sort of, I don't know, have like a little mini game to determine, the quality of the of the sample.
I think to go with the survival of the fittest thing, you almost want it to be that if you beat a level with a character, then you get to breed it with another one or something to then attempt to do the next level. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we'd need the levels probably have to be procedurally generated in some way so that we can, you're going to play maybe 100 levels or more over the course of a game, so that each time you're getting a mutation, you're getting a new combination of DNA,
and so each level you're playing a different offspring of what was done in the previous level.
Yes. So if you die, you don't get to choose new parents. You just get a different combination of those parents, perhaps.
Yeah.
So that's essentially that generation, and you're trying to find the combination from those parents that will get you through the level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. That could have some really fun stuff, especially because you could really find yourself in trouble if you accidentally stumble your way through a level with some shitty attributes, and then you have to keep going from there.
Oh, especially because speed running will be quite interesting in this case, because your character is always changing. It's always going to be sort of random, and it means that your character that makes it through that last level, it's got some horrible genetic stuff that you didn't expect to have come through. But that's part of the
fun.
Part of the fun. Like, you now have a dinosaur that has a massive tail but such a small body that it can barely move.
It just has to drag along. But it just trips over all its enemies. It's got, because you've got a spin move. You've got a great spin move with that tail that just, if you spam it, you can get through. Because that's actually what I was going to say. I feel like you could do some interesting stuff with each kind of element that your creature might have. Different types of legs, wings, tails, teeth, claws, arms.
Yep.
Could give you different move sets. And then how much damage they do or the reach and different things is defined by certain attributes of, so if you have managed to breed something with tiny arms, it's not going to do a ton of, you can have very small reach and not do a ton of damage, but maybe the trade-off for that is that you've got a huge fucking mouthful of really pointy teeth.
Ooh, and maybe you got a poison sac now. So as you bite into some of them, you use a little bit of that poison sac.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even think of status effects sort of stuff that you could add, but yeah, absolutely. But sharper claws add bleeding effects, and
if you do too much poison, you run out for a small amount of time, so you can't
well, again though,
until your body builds it up again. But
that's the thing. If your next mutation has a larger poison sac, then you've got more before you run out.
Yep.
But that might trade off with, oh shit, but my legs are getting shorter, so I can't run as fast.
Yeah. I mean, I see this as kind of almost like Mr. Sun's Hatbox, in that you had your characters that had bad things and good things coming, and going through the level and being able to choose, okay, I'm going to use this offspring. I like the idea that you get to choose. Okay. You get a list of, in the current litter, this is what you can choose between. Yeah. And
that makes sense, because you don't want to just get stuck with one and it's got some terrible attributes and you just dying over and over.
You can choose between 4.
Yeah.
And you get to the end of the level, and then you get another 4 that you can select between. Yeah. And maybe there's only one that has survived of the previous litter or something like that.
Well, and I think it's about choosing, because there definitely should be some choice of who you breed at the end. So, yes, yours gets through.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
I don't know if you inbreed with the previous generations.
My brain just went here. It's basically the scientist that is working is set up like a dating game sort of thing, whereas like
you hide behind a screen and have to ask questions.
Yeah, and then
contestant number 2. If I put a giant herbivore in front of you, would you tear off its head or slash at its guts with your massive claws? Oh, good. Okay, interesting. I'll keep that in mind.
And then the scientist just sets the mood, dims the lights down a little.
Dims the lights as the reveal happens. Okay.
There's a disco ball that comes down and it's like just playing, Barry White or something like that.
What's that one? Baby, it's better that way. Was that Careless Whisper or something? No, that's just the song that came into mind.
Either way, I love that game. I think that'd be so much fun. 3-2-1 movie.
Also, I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the next Jurassic Park. They're just doing Mortal Kombat style stuff because that's sort of the way it seems to be going.
Yeah. I can see that's where, BD Wong's character from the first one, who's doing all the genetic engineering.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely the scientist. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Duel, but it's Dual. And I think the synopsis is interesting here. A terminally ill woman opts for a cloning procedure to ease her loss on her friends and family. When she makes a miraculous recovery, her attempts to have her clone decommissioned fail and lead to a court-mandated duel to the death. I actually had not read that last sentence until I got to it. So it's Dual, but there is also a Duel duel to the death. Oh, that's funny.
Wasn't it a Steven Spielberg movie with with a truck?
The truck? Oh, Duel. Right. Okay. I thought you were saying based on the concept.
No, I like the idea that the duel is actually they're in trucks and they're going against each other.
Cloned like trucks.
Okay, mechanic resurrection.
Oh, okay. Well, that brings your trucks into it.
And that's kind of why I've got trucks in my head. But also, Duel was a Steven Spielberg.
Yeah,
I think Spielberg,
so.
Wasn't it?
Like one of his very early ones, right?
Very early.
But resurrection, also plays into the cloning yourself and bringing yourself back from the dead sort of thing. Because that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, so Duel was centers on a traveling salesman driving his car through rural California and finds himself chased and terrorized by the mostly unseen driver of a semi-truck.
What year?
I'm like, 71.
Oh, okay, yeah, very early.
I kind of like the idea of the cloning thing and
the truck thing,
and the whole duel that they go to after this whole thing is they each get given a vehicle, put out into
world.
Like an open world, and it's basically like hunt down the other one and kill them.
Okay. So I like that. I like the idea of almost in a Deathloop style, an open world where there is one other character hunting you down.
Yes.
Not necessarily multiplayer.
No. I think this works well as a solo thing. The thing is, your character has talked to this mechanic who, you get very hurt at the very start.
Yep.
They have a special resurrection pod that basically they've built, and so anytime that you die, you happen to get resurrected.
Okay, so what I like to hear then is, it's set in sort of a petrol punk kind of world, which we've sort of dealt with a bit before.
Maxi,
but I think more modern. I think it's more that we've kept gas guzzling cars around, but it's not that these are old hunk of junks thrown together. Like, there's brand new shiny ones and stuff. Like, it's still it's sort of the extension of that car culture, gone to the nth degree, into more futuristic technologies and stuff. So yes, I think that there are these resurrection pods, and the reason you have a clone is, in a sense, similar to the movie synopsis, is that the resurrection has gone wrong, and your previous one that they thought was dead is still alive and has recovered. Yeah. And you play one or the other. Maybe you don't know which one you are.
Oh, I really do like the idea that your character that you played at the very start was actually the clone, and this is the real. You're going up against the real one. Or vice
versa. Because I like the idea of, because you have the prologue essentially. You wake up, and you could do this either way. Either you wake up in a hospital bed or in one of these resurrection pods, and you're told what's happened, and then you find out that your other clone is still out. Your previous self is still out there.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. You wake up on a dingy, hospital bed somewhere out in the backwaters, and someone's nursed you back to health, and you find out that there's a brand new clone of you out there. But then at some point something happens where there's sort of a gap in the story, and when you come back, you don't know for sure which one you are as the player. You just know that there's another version of you out there hunting. And then the conclusion of finding it out could even be determined by, like, gameplay and stuff. Like, there could be multiple endings.
I can imagine they are, like, ruthless, like, for some reason. Which is why I kind of like the idea that you are the clone, because the original one has been doing this for so fucking long that, you were X number of clones down the line. It just so happens that every time that you happen to die, like...
I guess it depends on how the cloning process could work. But, true, from a game play perspective, the idea of you having to build your skills up again obviously makes a lot of sense from being in a game. And so, I like the idea that you've got the memories, but you don't have the muscle memory of the previous clones, because that's it's not actually stored in the muscles, but you know what I mean. Like, it's not stored in the place that gets replicated.
Yeah,
and so that's where your skill trees and stuff come in.
Yeah,
but I do love the idea of this ruthless previous version of yourself hunting you down.
Happens to be continually hunting you down, and I think you could come up with kind of like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer sort of thing, where when Buffy died in season 5, there was no new Slayer that gets brought out, because, like, she'd already died that one time, and that brought in the new clone.
Yeah.
But then when they brought her back, it's like, next time she dies, she's just going to die for good. Whereas anytime a clone dies, a new clone gets created, and it's just from
I see. It's right. There's some sort of It's some sort of factor of the cloning technology itself to prevent exactly these sorts of things from happening.
Yeah.
Is that it's only the next version of the clone that will get resurrected as a fresh clone.
Yeah. So your original body, when you finally kill them, you take off the mask, and they're just an much older version of you.
Right.
Because this has actually been going on for years, and you realize that you killed the original, and you've been the clone that... your original version was actually a clone, and that this whole thing is
So you are saying that you don't know the whole time whether you're the clone or not.
Well, still, you kind of do, because you're now a clone of that original character, but you're...
But you don't realize that they've been doing this for decades. You think it's the first time this has happened.
Yeah.
But actually... right. You're I see what you're saying. You're like the 10th clone down the line or something. They've kept.
You may be 100th by the time that you've died X number of times. Like.
So is it that this original? I mean, they may have still been a clone, but whenever this happened, the original has just been killing each clone along the way, and you're just you're just the next in the line. Okay, I do like that, because then you could have a cool reveal that you're looking out for someone who looks exactly like you. But yeah, you find them and unmask them, and yeah, they're 40
But then
years
you
older.
unmask the mechanic at the end, and it's like they're also another clone of you. So how many?
How has that happened?
How many?
They've cracked the encryption to allow.
They also had the thing happen where they died and they were brought back to life.
Okay, so they're like 3 clones ago.
At the very start, they could be. You could play around with this whole thing.
Yeah.
So much.
It's cool. I like that. That's a cool world building thing.
And I do like the idea that we've taken the Duel that you said, the original Duel from Steven Spielberg in 1971, and somehow put Mechanic Resurrection in there, and it's like,
it works.
All these things actually feel really kind of cool.
So yeah, I think having a lot of car combat in there is interesting. Then it's very much this. It is a hostile. It is Mad Maxy in that sense that like this is the main way people hurt each other and attack each other is they kit out their cars.
Put spikes on the side of your car, and you can take out tires and all this sort of stuff. And
or like I'm always picturing a Mech Warrior-esque, or I think was it Interstate 76 or something that did this as well. I think you could you'd have you've got your left weapon and you've got your right weapon, and you're in a first person mode, and it is that very Mech Warrior 2 or sort of thing of firing your weapons off at the right time and like doing fucking handbrake turns and stuff to get them in your sights. And
that's really kind of cool. And set pieces as well, like you driving on the side of
like a tight mountain highway or something.
A tight mountain highway, clinging to the side of a mountain, and just you have that massive semi come up right behind you, and it's just following you around that whole thing, like
running you off the road.
Oh, there's something about like taking that gritty. I want some film grain in this. I want it to feel like it's the 1970s, but
it's a bit of that grindhouse kind of thing. Yeah.
There's something about
and there needs to be more story based car games anyway. Like I don't want car games to just be racing. Like that's almost all there is with car games is just racing games. But
and then I think back and go, Rage, it had such promise and was more about the first person combat-y stuff, and they kept on having like pylons there so that you couldn't drive your car up. And it's like
the cars were really only a way to get around the large world as opposed to a main part. I mean, Mad Max was similar.
Mad Max had more
car combat. That's true, but
But even then, just the idea of like there are roving bands out, bands of psychos or whatever out there that you can sort of get extra scrap from and help the mechanic upgrade your car.
The cops. Roving bands of cops. They're the enemy.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Bad boys. It's like they've got film cameras going with them.
Oh yeah,
it's literally the cops from the TV
series. All right.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Movie. The Order.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Okay. That's always a fun challenge to take something so well known and put a different spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
So The Order is about a secret order of priests within the church.
Ooh.
Doing like investigating evil killings and stuff, but we don't have to go with...
They're investigating a murder that happened at Freddy Fazbear's.
Okay, so we're tying into the lore, are we?
It's just, the whole idea of Five Nights at Freddy's is it's something has happened at this like kids family restaurant,
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're not gonna go deep into the Freddy tie-ins because I don't know anything about it. Pretty much.
It's a family restaurant.
Yeah, a family restaurant.
The idea that it's a family restaurant.
It's 7 nights at Smorgys.
There's a big fucking volcano at the front. Like,
come on, it's definitely Smorgys.
Yeah, it's 7 nights at Smorgys.
7 nights at Smorgys.
so you play. I don't know. The security guard thing makes more sense. Like,
well, I like this order. There's a secret order of like waiters or something.
Okay, yep. And they're investigating something that's been happening overnight at this thing.
Yeah, they wake up and it seems like the volcano's been turned on, or like the tiki heads have changed position. The donut machine has been running. And there's just piles of donuts stacked up. It's like, no, I'm sure I turned that off. And so they're staying overnight to see what's going on, to investigate this. Very dedicated to their job.
Yeah, I think they are also the newest recruit to the order.
Yes.
So
well, and I think maybe
sort
you
of
don't
like
even
their
get
initiation.
Maybe you don't even get recruited into the order until after the first night, kind of thing. Like you're doing it because you want to find out what's going on. You get through that night, and then they're like, hey, come here. Like, we know. We've been trying to figure this out too. You look like you could be one of us. Like, join us.
Yep. I think this is more of a sort of 3D sort of investigation-y sort of game where you're going through the Smorgys, investigating different things of a nighttime. You don't necessarily see things, but it's more... As in, you don't actually see the things happening. It's just that you have to go into the kitchen to investigate something. As you come back out, then you see that the donut machine's actually now on, and there's piles of donuts on the floor, and there's soft serve all over the floor because the dessert bar is literally now open and clean and no longer clean. There's M&Ms all over the bench.
It's like a group of teenagers just came through and had their way with it.
There's in one of the booths there is a drink that appears to have everything from like the food bar in it.
In one drink.
And in one drink that is now has...
And there's mouth marks. You see someone's had a drink from it.
Yeah, you see there's definitely been salt and pepper put into that disgusting thing.
It's definitely some creature that's doing this.
100%. Teenagers would never do this and make someone drink it.
No. Not even for $10.
not remembering anything from like a certain person's 18th birthday at all.
No. Don't know what you're talking about.
I think we have talked about that on the show before, but still.
Well, those long-time listeners will get that deep cut into Trevor and I's past then.
But I like the idea that the order of the waiters or whatever that initiates you into. I don't know why, but the hoods are just like I'm seeing. You know how waiters sometimes have like that towel that go over their arm, sort of thing. Yeah, I see that they just put that on. They just
put it on their head.
And it covers their face a little bit.
I'm sitting here trying to think of puns for names. Yeah, I think we stay away from the Five Nights at Freddy's direct gameplay, but I do like the idea of kind of you're setting up like alarms and stuff or something. Like you'd still have a sense. You're figuring out the layout of the restaurant and kind of getting a sense for where this thing goes maybe at different times. It's almost like you're kind of narrowing down its path or like what it wants of an evening to final, and that you have to catch it within that seven nights.
Yeah, so you know for a fact that, okay, at 9 p.m. the ball pit gets disturbed. And then 9:30 you hear some noises on the slide, and then 9:50 you hear a noise in the kitchen. And I think rather than it being something that you can actually work out that first night,
no, I think you
you can't speed run it. Like there's certain things that are going to happen, and you.
But I think that's randomly generated to a degree, and I think there are maybe then other factors that alter it. That it's like if you lock this particular door, it's going to take a different path. And those are the sort of things you have to like deduce by changing up your behavior. You lock that door out to the back alley,
but that actually means that they've now come in through the front door instead, or they've come in through the vents, and the vents are fucking scary. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want them coming through the vents because it's too much like Five Nights at Freddy's then.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Do you ever see... Is it just a fucking giant, weird, tiki-headed... There might be too much cultural appropriation, but we might be able to do it in a more sensitive way. Just that tiki head just... coming towards you at the end.
I know. I kind of like the... I just kind of like the idea that it's like...
It's just a giant rat. It's a kid.
It's a kid. It's a kid. Like, it's a 10-year-old kid who's...
Can't get enough of that chocolate mousse.
Yeah. That's why they're always in the ball pit and all this sort of stuff. And then,
right,
you know, they just like their they just like their chocolate mousse. And then after they have some chocolate mousse, they play in the ball pit, and then they go down the slide, and then
they say hello to the lobsters in the
lobster tank.
In the lobster tank. Cool.
Oh, I'm just imagining you look in the lobster tank and you see a key down the bottom, and you got to like,
oh yeah,
stick your arm in, and you know,
avoid the lobsters.
And
that's cool.
That is really cool.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm sure in future episodes we'll come up with more SNAS lore. It's going to be the next sensation. Cool. Well, we're going to leave it there. So if you would like to find our previous episodes online, go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. You can find them all there. Give them a listen.
If you like the song that we play at the start and end of each episode, that song is called Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure by the band Dust.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott. And I miss Smorgys.
Yeah.